You're listening to The Slavers, a Detective Westfield story by Stu Jones, narrated by the author.
Hey, whoa! What the hell are you doing? Corley hissed.
Going in, Westfield called over his shoulder, then stormed to the rear of the Taurus and popped the trunk.
Going in? Are you stupid?
Corley opened the passenger door and stepped 1 foot out.
This isn't our lane. We'll botch the case for vice. Not to mention these guys might be well armed. We don't have any backup.
So call some. Westfield slid his unmarked black body armor on and extracted a Remington 870 pump-action shotgun from the trunk.
Hey, are you hearing me right now, Westfield? Corley tried to keep his voice down. We don't have a search warrant. I'm not going in there with you.
Westfield tossed Corley a set of armor. There are children in there. They're in danger. It's exigent circumstances. He pulled his badge on a chain from under his armor, then closed the trunk with a firm click. Put your armor on and call it in. Let's go.
Ah, damn it,
Corley said, then climbed out of the car, slipped the armor over his head, and strapped the Velcro down tight against his body. Westfield paused to let his partner catch up.
For the record, I'm against this, Corley whined, drawing a Glock 19 from the concealment holster on his hip.
I'm well aware of your position, Westfield said, turning his attention to the neon flashing lights of the shop's entrance. Get on the radio and let dispatch know. Stay here and watch the side door until I clear the first floor. Don't let anyone leave. Corley raised his handheld to his lips and keyed the mic.
Delta 240 to dispatch, code 14.
As Corley gave out the radio traffic, Westfield stepped to the shop wall and peered around the edge of the window. Just as he'd expected, the parlor was empty except for a fat man, sitting at the back of the shop atop a wicker chair that threatened to collapse beneath his immense weight.
Officers are on the scene.
Copy. Radio held. Corley lowered his handheld and crept up beside Westfield. Okay, it's called in. What now? Just keep an eye on the side door. I don't want to get shot in the back. Westfield watched as the fat man craned his neck to shout to someone in the back. Appearing irritated, he lumbered from his chair and disappeared through a shifting waterfall of colored beads. Don't give up that side door until I've got the first floor, at least, Westfield said. You hear me?
I heard you, Corley said.
Westfield eased the door to the shop open. With the barrel of the 870 angled to the ceiling, he stepped through the gap. The bell above his head jingled. Westfield swore and surged across the parlor to the opposite wall, flush with the curtain of beads. He waited, listening. The fat man pushed back through the jangling beads and stared at the front door. Westfield gave a little whistle. The fat man turned. The butt of Westfield's shotgun landed with a smack against the bridge of the fat man's nose and released a gout of blood that soaked the front of his t-shirt. He fell back and slid down the wall onto his sizable backside. Before he could call out, Westfield clamped a hand down over his mouth. He screwed the barrel of the 12-gauge into the fat man's neck, eliciting a whimper. How many men? Blink your eyes, Westfield said. The fat man blinked his eyes 4 times. Are the girls in back? The man stared wide-eyed. Westfield's lip curled in a snarl. He twisted the barrel of the 870 deeper into the fat man's neck, mashing his face against the wall. The girls, where are they? The wide-eyed fat man jerked his head towards the back rooms, his breath coming in shuddered gasps through blood-filled nostrils. Westfield straightened and released the fat man's face, turned the shotgun barrel back to the ceiling, and drove the butt down hard against the base of the man's skull. He folded against the wall and slumped to his side, Westfield handcuffed the man's hands behind his back and left him face down. Westfield eased the chamber of the shotgun open to check the round of double-aught buck nestled inside, then reseated the action. Using the barrel to part the hanging beads, he stepped into the dimly lit corridor beyond. Glass sconces with dim incandescent bulbs sat high on the walls, illuminating dingy crimson wallpaper tangled with gold dragons. An unnatural warmth hung in the air, the stale, warm smell of sex and poor life choices. A door to his left cracked open, and fearful, mascara-smeared eyes peered out from a musty bedroom. Westfield pointed to his badge, held a finger to his lips, and motioned for the young woman to stay in her room. He moved the length of the wall, listening to the faint sounds of passion from within the rooms. A man in an open-collared flower print shirt bounded to the bottom of the stairs, calling out to the front in an Asian dialect Westfield couldn't place. Hey, HPD, get your hands up," Westfield said, leveling the shotgun at the man's chest. Flower Shirt squirmed on the spot. Indecision and terror flashed across his face. "Don't do anything stupid," Westfield said. "Get down on the—" "Police!" the man screamed, his voice shrill. He grabbed for his waist and the dark outline of a pistol. "No," Westfield called out. As the man pulled the pistol free, Westfield's .870 discharged in a stunning flash. Flower Shirt flew into the air as his chest took the full load of buckshot. He slapped against the Crimson Dragon wallpaper and fell to the carpeted floor, leaving a smear of blood that ran down the twisted gold designs. A host of screams and panicked shouts filled the air. Doors flung open in unison, and terror-stricken, half-naked John stumbled out and ran for the exit. "Delta 240, 00, shots fired," Westfield shouted.
Calling all units, A211, backup needed.
"Corley, stay on the exit, they're coming to you." The nervous, pot-bellied man they'd watched enter stumbled, pants in hand, from a nearby room. The whites of his eyes consumed his round face as he clutched his pants against his naked lower half. On the bed inside, a young woman covered herself in shame. "My wife! My family can't know!" Potbelly whined and grabbed at Westfield with his free hand. "Get away from me, you disgusting piece of trash!" Westfield snarled, palming the man's face and shoving him back. "Get back in the room and sit on the floor, with your hands on your—" The crack of gunfire, too close, elicited more screams. A blast of pain struck Westfield in the center of his back and knocked the wind from him. Bowled forward, he rolled onto the stained carpet, the shotgun clenched in a death grip. Sliding to a stop on his side, Westfield planted the heel of his boot flat against the hall baseboard, leveled the shotgun, and fired. The blast caught the gunman in the face, pulping the contents of his skull and flinging them high against the ceiling. Westfield raised to a knee, sucking at the air. A hollow ache radiated through him like the fated impact of a sledgehammer. And for an instant, he probed the vest with his fingers in fear that his armor hadn't stopped the round. He clambered to his feet, a barrage of curses pushed through clenched teeth. At the end of the hall, terrified Johns continued to bolt for the exit. One man turned, and his eyes locked with Westfield's. Both men froze, instant recognition in their faces. "Hey!" Westfield shouted as the man ducked into a surging mass, pushing for the emergency exit. "Corley, they're coming out! No one leaves!" "I got 'em," Corley said over the crackle of static. Blue lights flashed through the front of the tattoo shop. "The cavalry," Westfield said. "Thank God." Upstairs, a girl screamed. Westfield shoved his way to the nearby stairwell and charged upward. The smell of spicy noodles left on a hot plate too long lingered in the air, sweet and oily. Halfway up the stairs, Westfield faltered and grabbed the railing. The pain in his back throbbed through to his chest. He placed a hand on the wall and righted himself. Beneath his fingers, gold dragons danced in a sea of blood. Another scream. Westfield sucked in a breath and pushed for the second floor. As he neared the landing, a string of bullets zipped past his head. The first round smacked into the sheetrock above, followed by 3 more that streaked down the wall by his shoulder. Westfield fell against the stairs in a haze of powdered blaster. His index finger clenched the trigger and the shotgun belched fire. The large Asian man he'd seen outside wailed as the concentrated blast took his foot off at the ankle. He collapsed onto the floor, fingers clutched around the submachine gun. Westfield rose to a knee, racked the 870, and fired again. The tight pattern of buck tore a gaping hole in the big man's chest and laid him flat. Westfield dropped the empty shotgun to the floor and drew the Springfield 1911 operator from his hip, holding it at the ready. Another desperate scream for help from down the hall. He drove to the end of the corridor, flashing clear, empty rooms as he went. The last door on the left was cracked. Westfield surged to the gap. The small room was in disarray, the scene of a struggle. An end table lay on its side with its contents discarded, a bottle of lotion, condoms in gold foil wrappers, and a broken bottle of perfume. Westfield shoved inside and saw the sedan's driver, Squash Face, with a fistful of the young blonde girl's hair. "Climb out the window! Go!" Squash Face gave her hair a fearsome jerk. The girl squalled and clung to his hand with both of hers. "Hey, ass clown," Westfield said, freezing the man on the spot. "HPD, let the girl go. Face first against the wall and put your hands on your head. Do anything else, and I will shoot your ass." Squash Face glared at Westfield. His eyes dropped to the revolver shoved down the front of his own pants. "Do it," Westfield said, taking aim. "Please, just give me a reason." A twisted half-smile broke across the slaver's face as he released the sobbing girl's hair. "Okay, man. It's fine. No problem." Nose against the wall, Westfield motioned with his weapon. He stepped into the room, and his shoes crunched on purple glass that gleamed wet with the stench of floral perfume. "No problem," Squash Face said, then stepped to the wall with his hands up. "With 2 fingers, remove your piece, drop it on the floor, and kick it under the bed," Westfield said. The slaver complied. The revolver clattered to the floor, and a feeble kick sent it spinning. Westfield closed the distance, holstered his weapon, then twisted the man's arm behind his back and applied the first cuff. "Bring your other hand to the small of your back." "No problem," the slaver said, bringing his arm behind him. "I want to see the search warrant." "Shut up." "You don't have one, do you?" The man hawked a laugh. "You got nothing. I'll be back out in a day." "One more word out of you," Westfield grabbed Squash Face by the back of his neck, his lips inches from the man's ear. "One more word, and I'm gonna break all the teeth out of your skull. Understand?" The slaver gave another dry laugh. "Get on your knees," Westfield said, pushing the man down. He turned and caught the petrified gaze of the young woman cowering in the corner. She clutched her hands to her chest, the silky dress she wore torn at the strap, her eye bruised and lip busted. A jolt of emotion lanced through him. "You okay?" Westfield tried to offer a soft smile. He picked up a blanket from the floor. She shrunk back against the wall, thick mascara running with her tears. "I'm a police detective. I'm here to help." Her gaze dropped to his badge. She began to cry with deep sobs, her bottom lip sticking out in a manner so terribly childlike. "Hey, it's okay. We're going to get you out of this place." Westfield handed her the blanket.
"I can't leave. If I do, they said they'll..."
They can't hurt you anymore. I won't let them. What's your name?
Haley?
The girl whimpered. Okay, Haley. I'm Derrick. You got someone we can call? Anyone who might be missing you? The girl's eyes shifted to Squash Face, with his nose against the wall. Her eyes widened. She shook her head no. Listen to me. Westfield knelt before the girl, blocking her view of her captor. He can't hurt you anymore. Help me get you back home, sweetheart. Who do we call?
My parents,
She swallowed hard.
in Alabama.
Alabama, Westfield repeated. A deep look of sorrow crossed his face. You been gone a long time, honey? She gave a weak nod and wiped her face with the blanket.
She's my girlfriend. She's here because she likes it here.
Squash Face spoke with an ugly sneer from behind them.
We treat her right.
He gave another dry laugh.
You let me go, and I'll get you a little on the side, as young as you like.
Westfield's jaw set as he reached into his pocket and extracted a pair of black leather gloves. Oh, I'm gonna get some all right, he said, slipping on the gloves. Squash Face laughed.
I know the law. You can't hurt me while I'm handcuffed.
Westfield lurched across the space and drove the heel of his boot into the man's teeth. Squash Face shrieked. Westfield dropped a right hook to his ribs, and it landed with the sound of breaking bone. He grabbed the blithering man by the shirt and hoisted him up. I told you, if you opened your mouth again, I'd break your teeth out. He gave the slaver's shirt a jerk. And I'm a man of my word.
No!
Squash Face pleaded through blood-smeared lips. Westfield drove down hard with a heavy punch, followed by another, and a third. A tooth fell and tinkled across the floor, spinning in little bloody circles against the dirty baseboard at their feet.
Westfield!
Corley's hands grasped at him from behind.
Westfield, stop!
But Westfield couldn't stop. The pallid, tear-streaked face of the girl and the evil sneer of her captor were both burned into his mind's eye, a stain no amount of cleansing could ever wash out. Westfield shoved Corley back and stomped down on the slaver's head. His knee rose and fell like the furious pumping of a piston. Each blow landed in violent repetition. A commotion filled the small space, and restraining arms snaked about his torso. Pulled backward by his brothers in blue, words of assurance in his ears, Westfield cursed and strained against the strong hands that held him fast.
He deserves it!
The breath in Westfield's lungs shuddered, in and out.
You know he does!
A wrongness cramped his heart, and hot tears filled his eyes until the ugliness of his surroundings blurred together in a sea of navy blue. You've been listening to The Slavers by Stu Jones, narrated by the author. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to encourage the creation of future content. Thanks for listening.